Okay, this is Sharon Pierce and Nandi Near Desert Experience. I'm covering the desert congressional districts of California in the 2024 election and talking about the topographical and just general landscape changes that are coming in with the atmospheric rivers refilling the sinks, the dry beds, the dry lakes, and so forth, and replenishing the earth here, especially in the desert areas of California, which are expected and have been going on for a few years, but are expected to continue, and they will change the landscape for living. And I would say to some extent, they will change the population density in the deserts and will probably change the politics of California, especially with the replenishment of water. So I'm going to share the screen with my notes. Okay, now this is March 9th. On March 5th, there was a primary election. This is my second tape, and I'm only going to cover a few congressional districts. The results in many races can be sort of determined, but the total ballots have not been counted as yet. So this is the Mojave Desert. This down here is the congressional district map of California. What I want to talk about is District 3. This is almost all desert, pretty much can consider it that way, especially down here. This is Death Valley. A little of Death Valley comes down in here. I'll be talking about District 20 because this is mainly about the districts 20 through 29, and 29 is deep down in here, and also 13 a little bit. Congressional District 3, about 66% of the ballots have been counted. It's trending toward the Republican incumbent. But what I wanted to point out is there is the person in second place, and this will be whoever comes in 1 and 2 in this race will be on the general election ballot in November. The Democratic contender so far is winning this county, Mono, this county, Alpine, and this county, Nevada, which comes up from Sacramento. Interstate 80 is here. It goes through Truckee, goes around Tahoe, and out into Reno. And Lone Pine is over here, and so forth. Come out of some of the roads through the Sierra Nevadas over in here. So the rest of this is going to the Republican incumbent, and the ranches and some of the cities and towns all the way up in through here. Now this is Badwater Basin in Death Valley. It's the lowest point in the United States. And it has been filling with water over last summer. The water stayed more this winter. Lake Manly is in here. Now, they were kayaking and doing other things out there. People were able to go out and get into the water. But the past day or so, they've closed Lake Manly to boating because some of the water is evaporating. That is true. What's happening with this water is it's also filling up aquifers. Some of the aquifers have over the decades collapsed from being drained, but still some are open. So there are underwater rivers here. The Mojave Desert in a certain area is an underwater river. Then it comes up the Owens River, Owens Lake, Owens Valley. Their aquifers are filling up again as well. So this is the race right now, with 66% of the vote, 55% to the incumbent, 43% to the closest challenger, and then a third challenger no party preference candidate ran, and he has 2% of the votes so far. Okay, District 20. Now, this was the seat that Kevin McCarthy held until he retired from the House of Representatives at the end of December. His aide, the person who helped him win races, is also a state assemblyman, Vince Fong. He recommended that Vince Fong be voted to replace him for that seat. Vince Fong is already an assemblyman, and he had already put in his papers, filed his papers to run again to be an assemblyman, to retain that assembly seat. When Kevin McCarthy put in his resignation, then his seat as congressman became open, so Vince Fong filed to run for that seat. There's a law against that. They told him he could not do that. He had to go with the first one he filed for. Then someone in Sacramento, be it a legal judge or a lieutenant general or whatever, secretary of state, said, well, we'll put him on the ballot. It's okay, and we'll figure it out later. So he is on that district. He was on the District 20 ballot. And there's a third ballot. 10 days from now, on March 19th, there'll be a special election to fill the unexpired term of Kevin McCarthy. That'll be a temporary election, and Vince Fong put in for that as well. So far, he's trending in his assembly seat, and he's trending in this District 20 congressional seat. And I would say that when the time comes, they're going to say, it's okay. Let him be in both of them. And if he won this one and he wants it, let him have it. I'm guessing that's how that goes. So what is likely to happen here is that it's already telling us that the two names that are going to be on the general election ballot in November are both Republicans. So this is going to be a Republican seat again. I feel personally that this is a perfect example of a district rather, that is being replenished with moisture. It's becoming more refreshed, more lush, and it will increase in population density. And I don't think it's too far in the future when the voting patterns will change in District 20. That's just my personal thought. The Kern River is high as of today. It's not at flood stage, but it's high. And the other rivers are not quite as high as Kern River, but they're all doing well, and they started late. We had a late winter, started at the end of December. There wasn't a lot, there was some coldness to it. There wasn't a lot of snow, and there wasn't a lot of rain until maybe the mid to late January and through February, and it's still raining, and it's really snowing. It's snowing a lot in March, and the skiers are staying. They didn't have much to ski on in December and January, but they're staying up there skiing now. So that's what's happening at the moment with District 20. And then the last one I'll mention here is 13. 13 is in the middle of the state. It's the San Joaquin Valley. It's ag country. It's the Great Salad Bowl. It has two major highways through it, 99 and I-5. There's some foothills over in here. And in the 2022 election, the same two candidates who are running now ran then. It was one of the closest races in the country. It was called very late, one of the last races called. Republican John Duarte won that. He's the incumbent. He was challenged by Adam Gray. This time in the primary, where the Democrats are voting the Democratic ballot and the Republicans are voting the Republican ballot, although there may be some independents and non-party preference people voting in the Democratic ballot. It's not as close. It's nowhere near as close. There are three counties, Modesto, Madera, and Fresno, which are part or whole of District 13. And in each one, in a range of 5% to 25%. Duarte is leading gray, and these are with 70 to 82% of the ballots having been counted. So some of those cities are Modesto, Merced, Turlock, Madera. Over on the west side, Patterson. I believe Newman is over there. Mendota is not that far from Fresno. Calinga is off of I-5. So that's what's happening. And on a final point about weather changes and what the influence will be with populations, population density, and who's voting for what where in the future, even as the American worker is trying to pull himself back up into the black by his own bootstraps. NBC News reported yesterday that lack of snow and lake ice has caused some heavy Midwesterners who ski, skate, and fish to question how their lifestyles will persist as the world warms. Average ice cover is hovering at all-time lows, and long-range forecasts are calling for more unseasonable heat. Lower ice levels affect the reproduction of some species of fish and create erosion on lake shores, and they could shift patterns in weather. Research shows the annual maximum ice coverage has trended lower at a rate of about 5% each decade from 1973 to 2023. That's 50 years. Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan have had their warmest meteorological winter on record. So the changes in the atmosphere are bringing changes to the land, and it appears, and I'm making a case by doing these tapes, that it's definitely going to be here for a long, long while, probably through generations. Maybe longer than that, but the story proceeds. So thank you for listening. This is Sharon Pierce for NDE Near Desert Experience. Bringing it to an end.